You know, I'm not an educator, so I don't have access to a lot of facts. So I'm not really familiar with all the details. But what I do know is that charter schools in Florida are held to a different standard than the public schools. And they're also getting public money to buy private facilities. And they are starving the public schools from the money that the public schools need to maintain schools that we've already built. And the charter schools tend to follow the population migration. For example, in this community, they've kind of abandoned the inner city, the downtown. We have schools in this community, the inner schools, that don't have enough students, and yet we got charter schools being put up in the suburbs where all the kids are located. So if you're going to have charter schools, you need to do it in ways that there's fair competition with the public schools, and that they don't starve the public schools of the money that they need to maintain the physical infrastructure, the school buses and the buildings themselves. I was just talking yesterday with a lady who's responsible for Duval County Public Schools infrastructure. And she says our budgets have been hammered in the last 10 years. They've been cut drastically because we have less money to maintain the same facilities, the same buildings, the same roofs. And when the roof leaks, what do? You got to patch it, or you got to get a new roof. And they don't have the money to do that. So basically what charter schools are doing, the way the system is run in Florida, is they're subsidizing real estate developers and private investors who are getting buildings paid for with public money, while we're letting our physical infrastructure that we call the public schools deteriorate. And that's wrong. If you're going to have charter schools, and I'm not sure we need to have charter schools to have competition and to have excellence in teaching, but if you're going to have them and you want to give your public school teachers some competition, put the classes in the existing infrastructure so that they're all in the same building and they have access to the same extracurricular activities and everything else. Don't cherry pick the best and the brightest also, which is something else they're doing. They take a specialty school and they cherry pick the best and brightest kids, and they take them off into a private charter school, and then they leave the difficult kids behind for the public school to deal with, and that's not fair. The other thing that's not fair is that I do believe in separation of church and state, and I strongly object to money going to religious schools where they don't teach religion as anthropology or culture or as secular fact. And I have no problem with teaching all about the kids about all the great religions in the world. I do have a problem if you're indoctrinating the kids with one specific brand of religion, and that part of your curriculum is based on establishing worshiping to that religion, or establishing adopting the dogma that religion promotes. If you're going to teach religion in the schools, which I do support, I support sex education in the schools, because not all kids get access to that at home. I think the kids need to learn that there are different religions, different cultures, different ethnicities, and it's not obvious in their dress necessarily or in the color of their skin, but maybe in how different kids talk. I mean, Jacksonville is a melting pot. We have ethnic groups from all over the world coming here for various reasons, not just all over the United States, but all over the world. And our kids should be exposed to these different cultures, because frankly that's the way this country is going, whether we like it or not. The world is becoming a much smaller place, and the internet is making information available to all of our kids, and if we don't push them and channel them in the right direction, they're going to go to the internet and see stuff about other cultures that gets them into trouble, like getting into ISIS and their propaganda, rather than reading about Muhammad and what he really wrote about back in 600 AD, and what Christ wrote about, and all the books of the Bible, and on the other great religions. That's where our schools, I think, when you have charter schools, that's where they're starting to fall down, is that the charter schools are sucking the money and the resources out of the public schools, and some of them are not teaching the kids what they need to know to prosper in a multicultural society. Some people don't want to live in a multicultural society, but the reality is that us white Anglo-Saxon Protestants are probably in a minority today, and we're going to be in a bigger minority in the future, whether we like it or not. So you got to give the kids the tools that they need to understand that. And a lot of kids don't get that training at home. And if they get it from watching TV or surfing the internet, they're not necessarily getting the type of education that we need them to get.